It is really a double tragedy for Sunil James. He has been taken in the country of Ghana for reasons that have still not been clarified. But back here in Mumbai, it is his family and his 11-month-old son who's actually passed away. And the family is now waiting for James to come back. The government is giving assurances, but at this point, it is just a plea. And the question really that the country is asking is that have we betrayed James and the memory of his 11-month-old son?
It is a story that will break your heart. A story of a family that's faced not one, but two tragedies. Since July, Indian merchant ship captain Sunil James has been in jail in Togo in Western Africa. While the family has been fighting a long and hard battle to bring the captain home, his son, 11-month-old Vivan, breathed his last on Monday. Ever since, there's been only one prayer on the distraught family's lips: help bring James home for his son's last rites.
Yes, I am hopeful. I hope and pray every single day that today is the day where it stops, that we will not have to wait anymore, that we can finally put his child to rest with the dignity that any human being deserves at this point in time.
5 months ago, James had stopped at Togo to report an attack on his ship by pirates off the coast of West Africa, but instead was arrested for allegedly aiding the pirates. The Indian government only waking up to their plight after the death of his son.
I have in my hand a letter from the Indian High Commission in Ghana to Captain Sunil James' family in Mumbai. In it, they've promised to work for the immediate release of Captain James. They've got in touch with Togolese officials as well as the Togolese embassy in Ghana to try and secure that. However, despite their attempts, hope is fading for Captain James' family.
The response has always been that the Indian government is looking into the issue. Looking into the issue in itself is such a relative term. It could mean a number of things to a number of different people. So far, every single time I've asked them, what exactly are you doing? I haven't so far received one concrete plan from them.
Yesterday evening, a consular officer from our mission in Accra has traveled to Lomé. He is there in Lomé today. He hopes to meet the public prosecutor along with our honorary counsel, and also try and see if he could meet the judge, explain the current situation, and request that on compassionate grounds, if Captain Sunil James is allowed to be released.
Sources say Ministry of External Affairs is making an attempt to secure temporary relief for Captain James so that he could travel to India and conduct last rites of his son. The mission in Accra is in touch with authorities in Togo to push for his return on compassionate grounds.
Jailed, stranded and broken, while a father 1,000 miles away is yearning to see his son's face one last time, a bereaved mother and wife feels not only betrayed but deserted by her own country. Bureau Report, headlines today.
The other big story that we are following, the Muzaffarnagar riots have ended, but the deaths haven't. A grave humanitarian crisis is unfolding, and victims lodged at the many relief camps say that official neglect, terrible living conditions and the onset of the bitter cold have already claimed almost as many lives as the riots, which left 60 dead. The Malakpur relief camp, around 18 kilometers from Shamli, one of the epicenters of the September riots, which tore through western Uttar Pradesh, is one that houses the largest number of displaced people. It has also seen the maximum number of deaths in the past 1 month.
जी मेरा जी ठंड लग गई जी मेरा बच्चा जी होती गिर गया था जी जी रजाई नहीं है कपड़ा नहीं है जी गरम जब मैं जो लेट जाऊं या उड़ा लूं बच्चों को भी जी बुखार बने पीछे जी हमने दिखाया डॉक्टर को दिखाया उसके कुछ आराम नहीं होया फिर हम बाहर ले गए जी हमारे पे भी इतना पैसा नहीं बना जो हम कहीं और इतना दिखा ले पैसे की वजह से हमारे पे कहीं ले जाए नहीं गया।
तो बुखार की वजह से ठंड की वजह से आपके बच्चे की मौत सरकार ये कह रही है कि हम इन लोगों की पूरी व्यवस्था कर रहे हैं, खाने का, पीने का और इनके आवास का, मतलब जो बता रही है कि हमने इन लोगों की पूरी वो की, ये सब उनके कागजों तक के महदूद है।
However, the government continues to dismiss these deplorable conditions and if not deny them, they choose to politicize the issue instead.
लेकिन अगर जो जानकारी आप दे रहे हैं, अगर कोई ऐसी जानकारी है तो मैं जानकारी करूंगा और उसके बाद जो मदद करनी होगी वो सरकार की तरफ से की जाएगी।
ऐसी कोई मौत की मेरे संज्ञान में नहीं है, फिर भी हम जांच के लिए आज टीम भेज रहे हैं। जो भी रिपोर्ट वहां से आएगी उसी को फिर मान के आगे जानकारी दी जाएगी।
And if that's not enough, if it's not just politicization by the state government, there are leaders of other parties also who've jumped in to indulge in heavy mudslinging and again politicizing this tragedy.
जिन राहत कैंपों में बच्चों के मरने की सूचना है वो सरकार द्वारा लगाए गए थे, तो सरकार ने जब उनके भोजन की व्यवस्था की, उनके ठहरने की व्यवस्था की, तो उनके स्वास्थ्य की व्यवस्था कौन करेगा?
Government has not been able to take care of these camps. There has been no health checkup. There has been no provision for cover to these people, and they're just lying on straw under very shabby tents, and it speaks volumes about the inefficiency and callousness of the government.
Preeti Chaudhary is joining us from the Headlines Today newsroom. Preeti, it's quite ironic that as far as the government is concerned, both in the state and at the centre, they've used the Muzaffarnagar riots as a point to actually pull and push the communal violence bill in Parliament. But when it comes to the ground situation, it's not just people who've suffered during the riots, but now are dying.
Well, you're right there, Maruk, because what's happened is all these families have pretty much become collateral damage in this politics of hate which is playing out in the entire Muzaffarnagar belt. Let's just give you some examples, Maruk, because nobody, everybody wants to use them as political currency. We've seen each and every party come out and say that, but nobody wants to take responsibility. Now, we spoke to the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, where he said that he's going to do something about it. The Congress has done absolutely nothing. To give you perspective, there are about 4 camps which are run by the Samajwadi Party there, which they are supposed to cater for. 6 of those are the responsibility of the Congress. It depends in which division these particular camps fall on and in which constituency they fall on. Right. But absolutely nothing is being done in terms of health benefit, in terms of health, in terms of basic living conditions. We are looking at a winter, Maruk, where about hundreds of families still living out in the cold in shelters. Now, what we are getting in from the state government is that these people, because of fear, don't want to move into the accommodations offered to them. But who instills that fear in them? That's the question that needs to be answered.
And that is a question that none of the political parties, neither the state government nor those in opposition, Preeti, are going to answer. Thanks so much for that. Moving on to our other big story. Almost a year after the December 16 gang rape in the capital, a lot has changed in the country. Now there are tougher laws and an aware youth. But what hasn't changed is the mindset of our netas. Adding to the long list of sexist netas, as they're being called by some, Union Minister Farooq Abdullah said that with strict laws in place, he's scared of even talking to women. Though he grudgingly apologized later, but once it exposed the deep-rooted mindset problem with our lawmakers.
Shocking?
यार आजकल तो डर लग गया है लड़की से बात करने का।
Sexist?
अब तो ये हालत हो गई है, बल्कि हम तो समझते हैं कि हमने किसी ने भी सेक्रेटरी नहीं रखना है अब लड़की, कि खुदा ना खास्ता कहीं ऐसी शिकायत ना हो जाए कि हम ही जेल पहुंच जाए। हालत ऐसी हो गई है।
Farooq Abdullah is scared of women. The Union Minister reflecting a sexist mindset.
यार आजकल तो डर लग गया है लड़की से बात करने का। अब तो ये हालत हो गई है, बल्कि हम तो समझते हैं कि हमने किसी ने भी सेक्रेटरी नहीं रखना है अब लड़की, कि खुदा ना खास्ता कहीं ऐसी शिकायत ना हो जाए कि हम ही जेल पहुंच जाए। हालत ऐसी हो गई है।
An uproar soon followed. Even son Omar Abdullah asking his father to apologize. And minutes after making the outrageous remark came a reluctant apology.
यार आजकल तो डर लग गया है लड़की से बात करने का। अब तो ये हालत हो गई है, बल्कि हम तो समझते हैं कि हमने किसी ने भी सेक्रेटरी नहीं रखना है अब लड़की, कि खुदा ना खास्ता कहीं ऐसी शिकायत ना हो जाए कि हम ही जेल पहुंच जाए। हालत ऐसी हो गई है। मैं मानता हूं कि रेप बढ़ गए हिंदुस्तान में, ऐसी बात नहीं है कि नहीं है, If there is something that I've said which has gone wrongly, I'm sorry for it. I never meant it that way. The question here is that one should be very careful in dealing with such things.
Less of an apology, more of arrogance.
Mr. Farooq Abdullah, through his statement, possibly gives an indication to the nation that women are to be hired only so that they can be harassed and assaulted at a place of work, which I feel is not how men across the nation feel.
A senior leader like Farooq Abdullah making such a irresponsible statement is totally unacceptable. What is he trying to do? Is he trying to send a message that if you work with a man, you must be ready to get sexually exploited or you will not get the job? I think this is totally uncalled for, and he must apologize for what he has said.
But Farooq Abdullah is not alone. A week back, Samajwadi Party leader Naresh Agarwal too made a similar comment.
तमाम बड़े-बड़े अधिकारी अपने यहाँ महिला पीए नहीं रखना चाह रहे हैं, महिला असिस्टेंट नहीं रखना चाह रहे हैं। हर एक को डर हो गया, पता नहीं कब किसके ऊपर कौन सा आरोप लग जाएगा। हम लोगों ने उसी समय कहा था जब लाया जा रहा।
यार आजकल तो डर लग गया है लड़की से बात करने का। अब तो ये हालत हो गई है। बल्कि हम तो समझते हैं कि हमने किसी ने भी सेक्रेटरी नहीं रखना है अब लड़की। कि खुदा न खास्ता कहीं ऐसी शिकायत ना हो जाए कि हम ही जेल पहुंच जाए। हालत ऐसी हो गई है। मैं मानता हूं कि रेप बढ़ गए हिंदुस्तान में, ऐसी बात नहीं है कि नहीं है।
The activists believe that the comment is more disappointing as it comes from men who are responsible for making tougher law for women's security. It reflects a deeper problem. With camera person Sanjay Khan, this is Kamaljeet Sandhu in Delhi for Headlines Today.
He spent 27 years in jail for his belief that whites and blacks should not be segregated. When he was released, he became the first black president of South Africa, inspiring millions with his non-violent ideals, and even winning the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993. Nelson Mandela died peacefully on Thursday at his home in Johannesburg at the age of 95. His passing has left the world in mourning.
He is now at peace. Our nation has lost its greatest son.
Today he's gone home. And we've lost one of the most influential, courageous, and profoundly good human beings that any of us will share time with on this earth. He no longer belongs to us. He belongs to the ages.
Nelson Mandela was not just a hero of our time, but a hero of all time. The first president of a free South Africa, a man who suffered so much for freedom and justice.
I'm profoundly saddened by the passing of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was a giant for justice and a down-to-earth human inspiration.
He was the father of modern South Africa, a multiracial, pluralist democracy where people were judged, to use Martin Luther King's phrase, on the content of their character, not the colour of their skin.
Queremos en Cuba y Fidel siempre lo respeta. A Mandela le damos nuestro cariño y amor. El pueblo cubano le...
I think peacemaker. I think very practical.
and I think a determined leader. I had a few occasions met him. I really admire. Certainly, I'm one of the admirers. So therefore, at this moment, firstly, very sad.
And we come here to celebrate you. We come here to celebrate Nelson Mandela.
Extremely sad and tragic news. We're just reminded what an extraordinary and inspiring man Nelson Mandela was. And my thoughts and prayers are with him and his family right now.
Many people may know history, but only a few contribute in determining the course of history. Nelson Mandela was one such.
We've brought a shirt down, which...
Oh, very good.
As you're about
very good. Very good.
I mean, a man holds a great value of, I would say, prestige as far as me as an African American. It's really sad to hear that, that actually happened.
Many of us also recalled how he had a personal interest in all of us, and that he was a man.
Hundreds of people have gathered here just to celebrate this occasion, just to be a part of it, just to pay their homage to the great man who they say is the very reason why they are free today and they can celebrate this occasion. It's in many ways signifying, this is something that India can relate to. The great Mahatma Gandhi has passed away, it's been about 65 years, but the legacy lives on. And that's the same amount of legacy that Nelson Mandela is going to leave for the South African Republic as well. You can see people doing all they can here to pay their homage. Now, this is just an example of what we can see outside the Nelson Mandela residence. People doing their best to pay homage to the great man. Of course, host of celebrities and host of very important people would be coming in, but these are the common Republic of South Africa residents who are here late night to pay homage to the great man. In Johannesburg, with cameraman Manish Shirishkar, Rasesh Mandani, Headlines Today.
And Nelson Mandela could neither bat nor bowl, but his influence over the cricket world stretched beyond many who did. And it was India that welcomed Mandela South Africa back to cricket once again, underscoring his enormous influence on the game. We take a look at the unforgettable role of Mandela and Indian cricket.
It's almost a cruel coincidence that Nelson Mandela passed away during the ongoing Indian cricket team's tour of South Africa. Recent controversies aside, India has been inextricably linked with South African cricket. None more so when in late 1991, at Kolkata's Eden Gardens, that India welcomed back South Africa after ending 2 decades of wilderness. Cricket was not a game he played or followed. Football and boxing were his pursuits. But he had invited Garfield Sobers and Sunil Gavaskar during the historic occasion of the unification of South Africa's 2 cricket boards.
Saying to himself, play straight.
Less than 2 years later, Mohammad Azharuddin's side became the first team to tour the Rainbow Nation. It was appropriately termed the Friendship Series, as the stellar efforts of Nelson Mandela bore fruits. 5 years later, Mandela again proved to be an inspiration. This time on the field, India, struggling at 58 for 5, saw Sachin Tendulkar and Mohammad Azharuddin join forces for an explosive 222-run partnership. This after they met Mandela. As the shadow of Mandela's death stretched over Adelaide Oval on Friday, Australian and English players formed a guard of honour and a minute's silence. From Makhaya Ntini to Brian Lara, Mandela's impact on the game and its cricketers has been outstanding. The game would surely be poorer without his iconic presence. Sports Bureau, Headlines Today.